Omagant imiram signag našalker, tašumritam smaišikuru. Сичетаем но бистам степитмен, бутулес, кадамихам, да сападантикам. Вандехам шигушу, баткам, шигун съдържам са. Ватам там да садивам. Да са вото пари знаеш там, кашнат ще ми тевам. Шат каште падантах сага на улита, ще виша към витача. Кришна кърно синтудин, бам джагат пътей, купеше гопика канта рада, канта на мостите. Тъп така че на горен герата вирда ванешвари, вишпан сте две пенални хрипри. Ван чакал по търпи чакати пас, бе чал по титна в небе, веш на вебе не мога не маха. Ram Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gopinath, Jaya Radha Gopinath, Jaya Radha Gopinath, Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Gopinath, Jaya Radha Gopinath, Jaya Radha Gopinath, Shri Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev. Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada. А можно сесть там? Может, мне там удобнее. Я там сидела. Спасибо. Джай Гаятрі Бук. Джахи Скольна Сачинанда Свами. Джахи Стефани Грейса Паттерна, Равиндра Шила Бхактивиданта Свами. Prabhupada. So this is the chapter about point 5. In chapter 1, Bhagavata Marga and Pancharatrika Vidhi. The circles. The following example is often used to illustrate how Krishna Nama and Krishna Mantra, the Gayatri mantras, are related to one another. There is a circle, a scheme, which is shown in the book. You can order the book, of course, per internet. The Gayatri book of Sachinanda Swami. Symbolically, Krishna Nama and the Gayatri mantras are like two concentric circles, Gayatri being the smaller one. Krishna Nama spreads throughout the whole creation of the Lord and extends himself to living beings on all levels of spiritual purification from the highest to the lowest. Thus, everyone on every level of advancement can start to chant the holy name, and by the holy name can reach the highest abode. Goloka Dhamma, provided one has attained the level of Shuddha Nama, where one is free, pure, where one is free from all offenses against the holy name and chants with full love of Godhead. But for that end, the Gayatri mantras are helpful. Since Gayatri is a smaller circle, it doesn't extend itself to the lowest material level. Before receiving the Gayatri mantras, one first has to develop a Brahmana's qualities, at least to a certain degree. It also doesn't reach to the highest level in Krishna's spiritual realm. At one point, therefore, when the chanting of the Gayatri mantras has brought the sadhaka to the transcendental level, Vaikuntha, the holy name will become predominant in his spiritual practice and further elevate him to the highest level of pure Krishna prema. So, next time I will continue. Jai the Gayatri book, Jai His Holiness Sachinanda Swami, Jai His Divine Grace, Abhay Charanaravinda Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. I'm trying to read something. Ich versuche was zu lesen. Hier. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Vedic Wisdom Tales, a book from His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura, Prabhupada. Jai Shri Prema Priložen Prabhupada Maharaj, who had translated this book for the first time in English with explanations. Jai Shri Narayana Maharaj, Jai Shri Gaur Govinda Maharaj, Jai Bhagavata Maharaj, Jai Bhaktivedanta Devi Maharaj, Jai His Divine Grace Abhayacharana Ravinda Shri Bhaktivedanta Swami, Prabhupada, Jai all the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, Vanchakalpatarupsa, Cha Kripaskupev, Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. So, the last time we have reached in my trial to read the chapter 27, Brigu Maharaj. Yes, who has kicked the Lord on the chest. It's a little bit long. I must try to finish it today. Brigu kicked the chest of the Bhagavan to reveal the qualities and supremacy of the Lord to the whole world. This was an act of service to the Lord. Brigu did not do this to satisfy his own senses or to propagate the greatness of his dynasty out of pride. Brigu performed his pastime just to teach the world that Bhagavan Vishnu is the greatest. He is infinitely forgiving and the embodiment of affection for his devotees. Brigu's act was a means to illustrate and spread this divine message. Furthermore, it was Bhagavan who personally entered into Brigu's body, Hare Krishna, Brigu's body, and inspired him to illustrate the glories of the devotees by manifesting such a divine pastime. In ancient times, great sages initiated grand yaga sacrifice on the banks of the Saraswati River. During this ritual, they were absorbed in reciting the hearing of Puranas scriptures. They discussed among themselves the significance of various perspectives presented in the scriptures. Scriptures extolled the glories of the Lord Shiva more, while others held Vishnu as supreme. This led to a difference of opinion between the sages. Some sages proposed that all opinions are ultimately the same, therefore creating another new opinion. They said, what is gained by conflicting opinions amongst us? One should simply accept that whatever one's own guru teaches, that is the best for him. From this perspective, everyone is equal. This is the theory of formlessness, Nirvashesha Vada. The so-called syncretism, Samanvaya Vada, that has been popularized in recent times is nothing but the echo of the ancient Nirvashesha Vada. According to this theory, all categories collapse and everything is the same. The demigods whose power is dependent upon Bhagavan, the living entities, and Bhagavan himself are all considered one. The wise sages deputed the responsibility to resolve this doubt to Lord Brahma's mind-born son Brigu. First, Brigu went to Lord Brahma's assembly. When Brigu entered the assembly, he neither greeted Lord Brahma as a father, nor showed any signs of reverence or praise. He just arrogantly stood there, seeing Brigu's audacity, misconduct, and disrespectful behavior. Lord Brahma became angry. It seemed as if he were about to burn Brigu in the flames of his wrath. Seeing this fiery form of his father, Brigu quickly ran away. Brigu understood the nature of Lord Brahma. Next, he visited Lord Shiva at Kailasha. There, Shiva and Parvati stood up to honor Brigu. Shiva and Parvati stood up to honor Brigu. Considering Brigu as his younger brother, Lord Shiva went to embrace him. But Brigu said, Mahesha, do not touch me. You have put on the attire of heretics. You keep company with ghosts, witches, untouchable and ungodly beings. You are a deviant, which scripture states that wearing ashes and bones is righteous behavior. One must take baths to purify himself after touching you. Stay away from me. Brigu said all these things jokingly, because a Vaishnava like Brigu could never criticize Lord Shiva. On hearing Brigu's words, Lord Shiva, also known as Rudradeva, became furious. He took his trident in his hand, ready to destroy Brigu. But Parvati seized Rudra's hand, fell at his feet and persuaded him to stop. Brigu immediately departed from Kailash and set off towards Vaikuntha. Upon arriving in Vaikuntha, Brigu witnessed Lord Vishnu reclining on a jewel-encrusted bed while goddess Lakshmi Devi served his divine feet. At that moment, Brigu came and kicked the chest of Lord Vishnu. Upon seeing Brigu, Lord Vishnu immediately stood up to greet him. Vishnu bowed down to Brigu and, along with goddess Lakshmi, joyfully began the ceremonial greeting of washing his feet. Lord Vishnu seated Brigu on an elevated seat, personally applied sandalwood paste on his limbs and prayed for forgiveness for any offense. Bhagavan Vishnu spoke sweetly to Brigu. The water that has washed a Vaishnava's feet purifies even the pilgrimage places when they have become contaminated by sinful pilgrims. All the universes within my body, along with all the demigods residing therein, have become purified by the water that has cleansed the feet of a devotee. To eternally remember the characteristics of his pure devotee, Lord Vishnu always wears the imprint of Brigu's foot upon his chest. Brigu was amazed by this behavior of Lord Vishnu and, immersed in bhakti ras, began to dance in his presence. Then Brigu returned to the assembly of sages and told them about the behavior of Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu and Lord Mahesha. Brigu made a triple oath and testified before the sages. Sarvasreshta Shri Vaikuntha Nanda Narayana Satya 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 Lila Vachana Sampradayeshvara Krishna Janaka Sambhara Brahma Shiva Karina Yavantara line 374. Translation in English is here. Narayana, the Lord of Vaikuntha, is the greatest of all. This is the truth, the truth, the truth. Krishna is the controller and father of all. Even Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva act under his authority. Lord Narayana is the doer, creator and protector of all. Therefore, one should worship his lotus feet without doubt. Know for certain that religiosity, knowledge, pious activities, opulence and renunciation, as well as one's exalted position and influence, all originate from Krishna. Therefore, sing the glories of Krishna and worship him. So, the next chapter is chapter 28. Avaduta and the 24 Gurus. Jai Vedic Wisdom Tales, Jai His Divine Grace, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura Prabhupada, Jai Shri Prabhupada Prabhupada Maharaj, who had translated this book in English for the first time with explanations, Jai Shri Narayana Maharaj, Jai Shri Gaur Govinda Maharaj, Jai His Divine Grace Bhacharana Ravinda Shri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Jai Bhagavata Maharaj, Jai Bhaktivedanta Nai Maharaj, Jai all the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. Vanchakapatrupacha Kripasnupevacha Patinam Pavanebu Vaishnavu Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Bhagavad Gita. Jai His Divine Grace by Charan Ravinder Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. This is his translation in English of Bhagavad Gita. So, chapter 7, text 1. Krishna. Maya Satamana Bharta Yogam Yunjamatastri Asamsayam Samadram Mamyata Jayasasita Krino Maya Satamana Bharta Yogam Yunjamatastri Asamsayam Samadram The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Now hear, O son of Prita, how my practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt." The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Now hear, O son of Prita, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt." Purport. In the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the nature of Krishna consciousness is fully described. Krishna is full in all opulences, and how he manifests such opulences is described herein. Also, 4 kinds of fortunate people who become attached to Krishna and 4 kinds of unfortunate people who never take to Krishna are described in this chapter. In the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, the living entity has been described as non-material spirit, soul capable of elevating himself to self-realization by different types of yogas. At the end of 6th chapter, it has been clearly stated that the steady concentration of the mind upon Krishna, or in other words, Krishna consciousness, is the highest form of yoga. By concentrating one's mind upon Krishna, one is able to know the absolute truth completely, but not otherwise. Impersonal Brahmajyoti, or localized Paramatma, realization is not perfect knowledge of the absolute truth, because it is partial. Full and scientific knowledge of Krishna is and everything full and scientific knowledge of Krishna, and everything is revealed to the person in Krishna consciousness. In complete Krishna consciousness, one knows that Krishna is ultimate knowledge, beyond any doubts. Different types of yoga are only stepping stones on the path of Krishna consciousness. One who takes directly to Krishna consciousness automatically knows about Brahmajyoti and Paramatma in full. By practice of Krishna consciousness yoga, one can know everything in full, namely the absolute truth, the living entities, the material nature, and their manifestations with paraphernalia. One should therefore begin yoga practice as directed in the last verse of the 6th chapter. Concentration of the mind about Krishna, the Supreme, is made possible by prescribed devotional service in 9 different forms, of which Shravanam is the first and most important. The Lord therefore says to Arjuna, "Touch Krinu," or "hear from me." No one can be a greater authority than Krishna, and therefore by hearing from him one receives the greatest opportunity to become a perfectly Krishna conscious person. One has therefore to learn from Krishna directly, or from a pure devotee of Krishna, and not from a non-devotee. Puffed up with the academic education. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, this process of understanding of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, is described in the second chapter of the first canto as follows. This is a citation from Srimad Bhagavatam 1 to 17 to 21. Srinivata Swagatam Krishna Punyashravana Kirtan Hridayanta Stavi Adrati Vinoteso Upsata Nashta Praya Shivadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Siva Bhagavato Dharma Shloke Bhakti Bhavatina Ishtiki Tattaracharis Prema Bhagavata Prema Nichani Chitatirana Vidyam Stutam Sutta Prashidani Eva Prasanam Shubham Sarvati Yunitama Samavignana Kasudasya Jayate Vinayate Nidayagramati Nidyamte Savatvasamsayaka Jiyamte Chasya Karmani Nisteva Translation. To hear about Krishna from Vedic literatures or to hear from him directly through the Bhagavad Gita is itself righteous activity, and for one who hears about Krishna, Lord Krishna, who is dwelling in everyone's heart, acts as the best wishing friend and purifies a devotee who constantly engages in hearing of him. In this way, a devotee naturally develops his dormant transcendental knowledge. As he hears more about Krishna from the book of Bhagavatam and from the devotees, he becomes fixed in the devotional service of the Lord. By development of devotional service, one becomes freed from the modes of passion and ignorance, and thus material lusts and avarice are diminished. When these impurities are wiped away, the candidate remains steady in his position of pure goodness, becomes enlivened by devotional service, and understands the science of God perfectly. Thus Bhakti Yoga severs the heart knot of material affection and enables one to come at once to the stage of Asamsayam Samagram, understanding the supreme absolute truth personality of Godhead. Srimad Bhagavatam 1, 2. Book 1, chapter 2, verses from 17 to 21. Therefore, only by hearing from Krishna or from his devotees in Krishna consciousness can one understand the science of Кришна. Джай Бхагавад Jai Divine Grace, the Bhaichana Ravindra Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Jai all the devotees, Jai all the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, Vantakapatara Pracha Kripasna Kupecha, Putidna Pavanebhyo, Vishnavebhyo, Namo Namo. Namaste Narasihaya, Namaste Narasihaya. для вас. Ага. Потому что день рождения. День рождения. Я сейчас их просто
Пригласила.
купил, да.
Спасибо большое. Можете сюда положить? Спасибо вам большое. Я вот тоже подумала, что мы будем друг за друга молиться. Вот вам манго в Рамхаде, а мне яблоки.
У вас, да?
А может быть вот тот вот? У меня просто еще одного
Да,
печенья.
да. Чай, все.